Welcome to Kind of Adulting. My name is Simone, and I'm joined by my two friends, Jordan and Elise. We've known each other since middle school, high schoolish, and we're taking on our early 20s together. In this podcast, we hope to share our daily challenges, funny stories, and overall experiences living in big cities and taking on post-grad life. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Kinda Adulting.
Yay.
Okay. How is everyone doing today?
Well, Jordan, do you want to go first? Because I have a story, but if you want to.
My day is good. I got up, I meditated, I did some yoga, I lit a candle, so I think I'm good today.
That's good. So, yesterday I was trying to make me some oatmeal. I like oatmeal, and trying to slice an apple to add into my oatmeal, and I accidentally sliced my finger open, my thumb in particular. And you're probably like, hey, how'd you do that, Elise? Well, there's a knife guard, like a knife cover, and so I was trying to rip the knife cover off to get to the knife to cut the apple, and it I had to get my thumb, and it basically the blade cut through my thumb. And I don't do medicine or blood well. And so I was just so I put pressure on it. I was like, okay, I know it was that deep, but then it started just gushing blood, a lot of blood. And so I started feeling lightheaded, and I was like,
oh my goodness,
oh no, this is not good. So my roommate had just gone to Starbucks, and so I called her, and I'm like, can you bring me back a Band-Aid, because we didn't have any more Band-Aids in the apartment. And I was like, I'm gonna need a Band-Aid for this. And she's like, yeah, I have some in my room. I'm coming back up right now. And I was like, okay, cool. And so meanwhile, it's a lot of blood coming. I realized the cut is pretty deep. So I lay down on the couch. So I'm I also have this blood disorder where it's just not good for me to lose a lot of blood. And so I'm laying on the couch, just walking, just getting really lightheaded. She comes in and she's like, oh my God. She's trying to clean the cut. And she's like, oh my God, it's so deep. And I'm like, don't tell me that, because I'm getting even more stress. And the whole time I'm thinking man, I do not want to go pay a copay for this. I do not want to go pay a copay of whatever, $50-$60 to get some stitches for my finger. Hopefully it'll just heal back. So currently my thumb is cut open. I'm too scared to look at the wound. So whenever I change a Band-Aid, I close my eyes and just feel around for it, because I saw it once and I almost it's deep. I almost I got lightheaded again. So my hope is that it'll just form back to itself, because I really trying to use
you
this money.
Probably need to go to the hospital.
No, because I just
probably need stitches. Because if you don't get stitches, you technically didn't slice your finger open. It's probably just a little cut. If it's as deep as you say it is, you probably need stitches.
That's what my mom said today. But the problem is, I just paid off my credit card bill, and I finally coming into some money. I was gonna use this money to buy myself some cute clothes. I don't want to pay for some stitches. I don't. So
it's probably more than you probably would just pay a copay, and then maybe a couple $100 for some stitches. Maybe not. It might even be covered.
Couple $100.
I mean, I don't know what that be. Listen, I don't know what that be costing. I'm just saying. I think you'd rather your skin heal than you have some clothes that you're just gonna sit in your house on your couch and look in the mirror at. Nobody's gonna see your outfits, but your finger could have a lot more. Your finger could have a lot more issues. You already bought some candles. I think that's good. Why don't you go get your finger fixed?
See, I'm kind of with Elise. I'm gonna just wait it out until
I feel that. But she also, you heard her say she has a blood condition, so she loses an excessive amount of blood. So she sits her little butt on that couch and bleeds excessively. That could also be an issue.
I really wish they could see Elise's face right now.
I just feel like you'd already bought some stuff you wanted to buy. Go to the doctor. That's what you pay for health insurance for.
But they're gonna be like, oh man, whenever I start crying in the doctor's office at my big age of 23, they always look at me like I'm like a child. Why are you crying? And I'm like, because I'm scared of blood and needles. And
it is a little much.
I don't have no one here with me. So, like...
Why don't you bring Ethel?
Okay. Or Jordan can come with me. Jordan comes with me
to Jordan can go with you.
But she'll probably just try to bring some crystals or some sage or something. And I'll get mad.
Jordan talking about I went the least. You don't need to listen to Jordan anyway, because Jordan probably is gonna freaking go burn some incense, and that's gonna heal her fingers. You need to go to the doctor.
We'll see how I feel.
Well, I did my Saturday hike with my mother, as always. I was gonna talk about. I watched this movie last night called Seriously Single, and it's out of South Africa. It was actually not a bad movie, but like the main character like truly annoyed me until I guess the very end. Like she was so desperate to be in a relationship, like excessively desperate, like was stalking a man she had just met. And then like in the end, her best friend, who was single the whole time, like basically felt like me. So she was like single, you know, she vouched for being single, like you need to be single and learn yourself and blah blah. Me. Then, you know, she gets a man. And so then the friend, what happened was the friend had been dating this man, and then she found out the man was engaged because
I really hope nobody was trying to watch this movie.
Yo, listen, y'all should watch it. It's still really good. But regardless, he was cheating on her and got married. And then so they gonna try again because she's like, I don't want to be single. And then in the end, like, she was like, oh, well, I guess it's better to be single. Yeah. Then to try and marry a man who was engaged on you. Are you kidding? It was just very frustrating. But I really did like the best friend. I really related to the best friend. And overall, it was a solid movie. Like, they dressed really cute. And it was cool that I was out of South Africa. I think it came out yesterday, actually. But I definitely say watch it. I mean, it's not like there's no climax or nothing. I ain't give away the biggest part. There's nothing going on. It's just a casual dating movie, you know. There's nothing really to miss. So anyway, it was pretty good. And then I just started watching Moesha again. So
that came out today.
Yes, I don't think I've ever watched I've watched most of the episodes, but I feel like it'll be different watching it from like start to end.
Yeah. Especially at our age, too.
Yeah, and I feel like she's going to get on my nerves even more. Because towards the end, when she started getting all dramatic and stuff, I thought that show was so annoying. You know, like when she found out that was her... What was it? Dorian was her brother? Do y'all remember that?
My parents didn't let me watch these shows. So...
That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, you know, sheltered upbringing. So... I don't know what y'all talking. I watched all those shows like much later in life, like Fresh Prince and all that. Much later.
You didn't watch Fresh Prince when you were younger?
Not until like I used to watch it maybe I was like middle schoolish at night. Cause I feel like I had to just for the culture catch up.
That sucks.
I used to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
too.
I had to catch up. So
wait, Jordan, you weren't allowed to watch it either?
No, I could watch that. It was just like the Boondocks and stuff. Like I didn't watch that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I had to like sneak and do it.
I never watched Boondocks, but I just didn't know about Boondocks. But yeah, I like watched all that stuff, and literally they're my favorite shows. Like I still watch them now.
Like Martin, I had to watch Martin at a later age just to like for the context, so people wouldn't be like, "You didn't know that? You don't know what we talking about?" I just had
like my dad would literally he would literally bring me in the room and be like, "This is a show called Martin. This is a show called 227. This is a show called this," and like we would sit and watch all those type of shows. I guess because he wanted to make sure I had culture. I don't know. But anyway, okay. So next, guys, we will be having our discussion. Today we're going to be talking about moving to a big city, trying to find a roommate, apartment, and all that jazz. So stay tuned.
I'm gonna get the Pop Smoke braids in.
What?
Anyway, so. You know, many people...
Wait a second. Continue.
After college, it's always so much uncertainty, right? Like, people are just unsure of whether they should take certain jobs that are in different cities, whether they should move back home. You know, it's just like a hard decision, right? Like, what if I move to a big city, can't find an apartment, don't have a roommate, etc. You know, I guess for me, I didn't have the hardest transition being that I had family up in the area, you know, in Philly and DC, blah, blah, blah. New York was not unfamiliar territory for me. You know, but I guess my question to you guys would be, how was your move to DC? Like, obviously Jordan went to school there, and at least I do know a little bit about your family there, but like, did you guys feel like you struggled, you know, finding a roommate and apartment?
I think for me, so I graduated college in May. I already knew that I was moving to DC way before I graduated from school. I went to school in North Carolina. So I kind of started my apartment search, I want to say like March, April, and then got really serious like in May, June. And bad mistake. Like I should have started much earlier. And it was hard. It was hard trying to move to DC, and only a 4-hour drive from like Raleigh to DC, but it was expensive. Like I was really particular about where I wanted to move to. So of course I came with all the apps. I was like on Zillow, on apartments.com, on Pad Mapper, just trying to find a place. And it was just going to cost me thousands upon thousands of dollars to move. And it was just it was a horrible experience. And I didn't find my apartment that I'm like in now currently. Like I walked on site and just signed it then and there because I was just so over it. And my parents were like, if you don't find an apartment, we're gonna find you an apartment. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna decide. But like just like some like funny stuff that happened was my dad didn't want me to. He was like, oh, like instead of you like paying, signing a 12-month lease to live in DC, like off bat, how about you just do like a sublease for a month or two, right? And get a custom, which sounds, like a good idea, like sublease an apartment, pay 1-2 month rent, and then figure out where you want to live in the city. But the thing about that was like my dad was on Craigslist and he found all these scammers that would say, like, he thought they were real. And they'd be like, it was this $2,000 typical apartment, right? And they're like, yeah, we'll give it to you for $1,000. There's parking included, middle of DC, fully furnished, like just, no problem. And my dad would send me the links and be like, hey, at least look what I found. Like, look at this great deal. You don't have to pay for your expensive apartment because look, you've already, I found this person that said that you can move into their place, their professor. They happen to be gone out the country for the next 7 months, so they can't show you the place. But you can just pay them $1,000 up front, and they'll mail you the keys. Like, doesn't that sound crazy? Yeah, and he was so secure in it until I started researching it. And each person I would ask to like show a picture of the apartment or like them in front of it, they would get irritated and then ask for my license.
What?
It was weird. So yeah. But yeah, Jordan, you went to school in the city. So how was that like transitioning from like already living in DC and then becoming like an adult in DC?
So okay, I didn't know how I was gonna stay in DC, like money wise, but I was just like, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna find an apartment soon. It's okay. So I wanted to move into a place with somebody, but I didn't know anybody that was like moving. So I'm on Craigslist looking to find like people to move in with, and that was a whole like struggle because Elise, you said that you should have started earlier. Like I felt like the earlier I started, like people were just like, oh, we can move in next week or like a month from now, and I'm like, dang, so I have to wait like that soon. And then like I didn't have the money for it, but luckily I had I had to do some stuff at my job and demand more money from them. But I got like a check from my job, and like the next week I put a down payment on like the apartment that I just moved out of. And that was crazy because I'm never moving in with somebody I don't know ever again. So that's all that on that situation. So that transition wasn't all that bad because like I knew like the areas in DC. And I knew where I was moving to at that point wasn't going to be the best location, but it was fitting my budget, and also it was like walking distance from my job, so it was like a no-brainer for me. The place that I move in now, that was hectic because we did all this during like Corona, so it was just so hard trying to find places because like people are trying to like show like houses and stuff, but they try to do it on like FaceTime, and it's just like, okay, that's cool, but like you can also show me stuff that I mean, like you can not show me like the bad parts just because like we're on FaceTime. I can't like see it for myself. So we have actually signed a lease for another place, but neither like me or my roommate had actually been there before. So when she actually went there, she was like, yeah, no, this is not gonna work. Like it was just like sketchy looking, and like it was the people's first time renting that apartment, so it was just like they wanted us to send like the rent through PayPal. And we were like, not even PayPal, like Cash App, Venmo. And I'm like, oh no, see, I need a receipt, I need an invoice, I need something. Right. So that situation was really sketchy. So like last minute we like reneged, and we were just like, yeah, whatever. So we found this place, and luckily they were doing like rent deals and stuff. So my roommate moved here 2 months before I did because my lease wasn't up yet. So I'm just now moving here like 2 weeks ago. But it's cool. It's great. It's a great place. I'm glad we chose it. We really lucked up because it was like a last minute, like, oh, well, this is here. And it's in the same area that I used to live in 2 years ago. And actually, it's a lot of Howard people that live here. Some of our listeners live here too. So if you see me in the hallway, hey, girl.
Hi.
Literally.
So, but like, what do y'all think? So like we all, like me and Simone move, cross country to our cities. Like what are some mistakes y'all can say? Or like,
dang, girl, I ain't talk about my moving to New York in my apartment stuff.
Well, can you talk about, well, tell us about your mistakes or struggles or lessons learned, because I know you had an experience.
Well, really what I was going to talk about was just the fact that I think New York is a very unique market. The fact that I was moving there in the summer was like the worst thing you can do. The market is just insane then, but also it's like you can't look in advance. Like people tell you to look in New York to find areas, but you literally cannot look for apartments in advance because you could see something today and in an hour it'd be gone. And that's how quickly the market runs there. And then it's just so expensive. Like you have to have your first month, last month. Sometimes you have to pay a broker's fee, even if you don't use an actual broker to find the apartment. So it's very pricey. I think I was going to say, if you get offered a new job or something, if they're not willing to negotiate maybe your salary, try and see if they'll help you with a stipend, because that really made a difference. Like I personally would not have had the money. My parents would have had to really assist me to move. And thankfully they paid for my furniture, which is a blessing in itself. But like the money that I paid was flat out my stipend from city. So that really helped. Like it took my entire stipend, but like that was money that I didn't have to spend or my parents didn't have to spend or whatever. So New York is just crazy. I think my biggest mistake in looking was just that, well, it wasn't even a mistake. I kind of was in a screwed up situation. Like I remember my parents and I, went to my grandmother's birthday and we were supposed to drive up to New York and go look at apartments. But like my cousin died. So in the week that we were supposed to go to New York, we went to New York for my cousin's funeral. And so instead of having a week to look for apartments, we had a day. So we hired a broker, and like, I truly don't think that he did his due diligence. Like I told him my max and he was showing me all these terrible apartments. Like I told him Harlem or Brooklyn, which if you don't know, Harlem is in Manhattan, but it's just like the upper part. And he literally only showed me apartments in legit Manhattan. They were like 2,300. You would go in, the refrigerator would be crooked. They were all studios. Like they were terrible apartments. I mean, y'all, they were terrible. I remember my mom and I like having a moment in the middle of the day, like just being exhausted and just like over the whole process because of the apartments he had shown us. And so I think he planned it. And so at the end of the day, he showed us one that was like decent. It was small. It did not have a counter. The bathroom was the length of my arm. And, and it was the only one that I had seen that was like doable. So I was like, I'm just going to have to take it. I'm in a crunch. you know, my parents were trying to convince me to stay with my family. And I was like, that's not cute. It's summertime. Like, I'm not about to be living in Philadelphia at my aunt's house. So I put money down. I ended up losing like $700 because, you know, the more I thought about it, I was like, this is not the best option for me. And I met someone who ended up being my roommate, and we found another one. So, you know, I wouldn't really say it was a mistake, right? Because I couldn't control the fact that I only had a day to look. But I definitely regret like putting a down payment down. I just say if you're not completely sure, you know, unless you have no options, don't put money down. Like, just, I guess, stay motivated that you're going to get the apartment later.
So. Yeah. When I was looking for apartments in DC before I was in DC, I was on every avenue. Like, I was on Facebook groups. I was in, like, on Craigslist. I was everywhere. I was, like, on all the pages. And looking back, it's a little funny because people be on Facebook talking about, oh, I have an open room or an apartment, or I'm leasing my apartment out. Like, these random people. And I'd be like, okay, here's my number. I'll roll up. And at one point, my mom was like, I was looking at apartments, and I was talking to this real estate agent, or it's a man, I think. And he was like, yeah, come to my apartment, like, tonight and come look at the apartment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go by myself, look at this apartment, you know, in downtown DC. And Mom was like, but, like, how do you know he's not going to kill you? I was like, Mom, to that extreme? Like, I don't know. Like, looking, but it was all these random men. And I would pop up in my little short shorts and my Adidas. And I had, like, my, like, blonde flow locks. And they always would think that I was not me. I'd be like, hi, I'm Elise. And he'd be looking at me like, you can afford this apartment? I'm like, first of all, it's not even a cute place like that. It's not even that cute. Second of all, yes, I can. But yeah, I would be doing a lot of sketchy in people's apartments. People would invite me to their apartments, and they would not even clean up. If you want to have look at your place, clean up. If you're going to take pictures of an apartment that you're trying to get leased, get you a Swiffer wet jet. Go to Dollar Tree, get you some wipes. Put the animal away. I don't want your cat climbing on me when I'm trying to look at the square footage. Okay, back up.
There's a certain population of people who don't really care about that at all.
Back up.
They'll have the cat in your food and on the counter right in front of you.
Let me tell y'all, my mom was here. I went to live in an apartment. I found this man, I think on Facebook or something, of course, this random man. And I was looking at his apartment, see if I would, like, want to take it over. While I go to his apartment, it's not clean. He shows me to the bedroom. Why is there a girl in the bed, not even fully dressed?
That he had just...
No, his girlfriend. And she was, like, covered up to her chin, was like, hey. And I was, like, looking at the closet, like, trying to look at the closet and stuff.
I would have been like, this is weird.
I'm like, if sis don't put a t-shirt on, or at least pretend to be a pillow, like, roll into formation, like, hide. No, I was like, I can't live anywhere. I cannot move into a place that someone's already living in currently. Like, I need to live with someone where it's cleaned out, because this is a mess.
I think, like, also it's important to look at the options. Like, I wasn't privy to things like rumors or...
What's that?
Yeah, I'll explain. But it's like there's something else to like it. But basically, you can do temporary housing. So you move there and you live in like maybe a commune type thing. So there's like
commune?
Not a commune, but like multiple roommates. They all have a kitchen. My friend Chris did that when he moved up to New York. But it's like, so you just move into your little room and you share the kitchen and the bathroom and stuff. But, you know, I wasn't against that. Like, I feel like when you don't have the money saved up, I think that's a great option. Like, if you have to move on a whim and you don't have the money yet, that is a great option. But I just felt like for me, for one, I have a lot of stuff. And then for two, I don't really trust people at all, especially to be living with them. And I just felt like to have a spot like that where people are constantly moving in and out, because that's the reality of it. Like, you can do a 1-month lease. But I do not need no craziness in my life. Have some dirty person who, you know, I don't know, got issues moving into this apartment with me. So I was like, that is not, for me. But there are options like that for, you know, really expensive cities to like help people out. Because it's just not, these are not cities that you can just unless you've been saving avidly, you can just say, I'm gonna just, I don't know, get a nice apartment just off the bat, unless you have family money, that's just not an option for most people. So there are cool, websites out there where you can find like temporary housing and allow you to save your money while you're there. But look, it's just in New York, you don't really want to play around with that.
That's funny though, Simone, that you're talking about like you don't like living with people who you don't trust. Like, how did y'all meet y'all's roommates? Even though I kind of already know, but
yeah,
because none of us got it like that living alone. We all got roommates.
You can't afford that in our cities. You should not. Like, you have to make at least 6 figures for that.
That's some money. Well, yeah,
you really do. I mean, I've seen some. They're like, I've seen some 1,800 1-bedrooms, but they're not in the best areas. So it's either we'll get into that later, but either you sacrifice the area or the type of apartment, or you have a roommate and you get a nice area and a nice apartment.
I met my roommate though. We're like friends of friends.
No, not this roommate.
So your old roommate?
The old roommate.
No, I'm talking about the one I was
that's
now.
boring.
How's that boring?
Jordan, that's boring. It's not what the people want to hear. We want to hear the girl that broke your microwave. Let's start that way. Okay. Start there, okay, please. How'd you meet the girl that broke your microwave and shattered it?
So she was already living there, right?
In the hood, yes.
And I feel like they cleaned up the apartment because they knew that I was coming. Like the landlord, not her, the landlord.
Yeah. Oh, I thought she couldn't clean.
Literally. So when I went to the apartment the first time, she wasn't there. Then I went to it the second time, just to meet her before like I signed any papers or whatever. And she was okay, yeah, she was just okay. And then she just sprung it on me. She was like, "Oh, did our landlord tell you that like I'm getting a cat?" And I'm like, "Huh?"
How can she?
And then she was like, "Oh no, but it's
moving in." Huh? She can do that when she got a new roommate moving in. Just get a cat.
Yeah, apparently, because it was like you could have pets or whatever. It wasn't like an extra fee. So she was like, "Yeah, like, did he tell you that I'm getting a cat?" I'm like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, well, I mean, it's fine. He's gonna stay in my room, and he's an old cat, and he was being bullied at the adoption center." And so I'm like,
"Is it a human? Like, how does a cat get bullied?"
I don't know. She was just like, they used to steal, like, the other cats to steal the cat food from the cat. Like, I don't know.
That's actually funny.
So she made it seem like this was just almost like disabled cat. Like the cat was not going to be moving around like that.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because why the cat couldn't fight the other cats for his food?
Like, and then like just so old and just helpless. Like, so the cat came or whatever. He never liked me, which is, probably the best thing for him. So she would just like leave her door open and stuff. And like, I'm not in the main area all the time, but every time I come outside, like it'll be cat hair on this like kitchen stuff. And I'm like, see, no, because this not. This ain't that ain't this. So like I was just like, yeah, like, do you leave your door open on purpose? Like what? And she was just like, well, he's an old cat, and so I want him to be able to stretch his legs. And girl, I said, oh no, so this not this. But sometimes people don't have the same cleanliness and hygiene as you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your sanity, and just be the bigger person. Because I promise you, I would have fought her.
You tried to fight. Did you want to fight her? I would have rolled up there.
So many different times.
I can fight, so I would have been right there.
Girl, she would have picked herself on a wall.
Simone does not go there.
But that cat could have. Shoot, all the cat had to do was bite you, and the blood came out. You probably would have passed out.
But no, like the whole time we and then like she kept like making it seem like I was just such a bad person, because every time I try to talk to her about something, she was just like crying. But I mean, like, that's not fair because you do this. Okay, well,
Jordan, how did you say these things to her? Did you say them nicely?
I don't know how it can be nice. I mean, I said it very bluntly. I wasn't mean. I was just like, So you just gonna.
So you say you just going.
You're gonna let your cat do that on the kitchen where we eat. So I didn't eat there for a long time.
I have mutual friends. I have mutual friends that said that their new roommate was thawing chicken in the bathroom.
Oh, not the bathroom.
I said I would have thrown that in the trash.
Yo,
you know how much crap is in chicken? And you gonna put that in my shower? She was letting it thaw out. Are you kidding?
Ew. Mm-mm. Well, I met my roommate on Facebook. Like, I literally, I put out this thing, was like, hi, like on like the DC like housing Facebook page, like, hi, I'm Elise, you know, I'm really outgoing, like all these great things about myself. I'm looking for a roommate, right? A female roommate who hopefully is like my same age. And of course, all these creepy people reach out to me like, hi, I'm 45 with 4 children, but you can live in my spare room. And I'm like, yeah, thanks.
They definitely do be doing that.
No thanks. Like, no thanks. Or I just have a pet snake, but he's calm. And I'm like, you know, I actually kind of like snakes, but not for my first apartment, random person.
What?
And
Elise, you like snakes?
Simone, that's not the point of the conversation right now.
In the house with you?
Simone, we're talking about apartments. And so so I met my roommate. So like a couple people messaged me and I set up phone calls with them, had to interview them. I had my document of questions, about at least probably 30 of questions about what I needed to go through. And so in those questions, I interviewed 2 girls, was going to live with one of them. And then my other roommate, we agreed to live it together. She completely trusted me. My roommate now looked for an apartment. Like, she had no say. I picked it all. I found the apartment and she just sent me the money off bat. Like, my parents thought they were so concerned. They were like, she hasn't even seen the apartment. She just trusts you. And I'm like, yeah, she trusts me. Like, I'm great. Like, who would not trust me? My parents were like, but she's never met you before. Like, you could be scamming her. And I'm like, but I'm not. I'm showing her the lease and all that stuff. So we actually did not meet face to face until we moved in together. And she's the best roommate ever. So my parents were scared, but, you know, it worked out well. I just trusted, I was like, you know, if we're separate bathrooms, like, what could go wrong, really? Like, separate bathrooms, separate rooms, what could really go wrong? But it worked out well. And I had lots of questions. It was a lot of questions. Like, do you smoke? Do you clean? Do you eat peanut butter? Because I'm allergic to nuts and I didn't want them to kill me.
Does she not eat peanut butter at all?
No, she does. But, you know, how to make compromises here and there.
Yeah, I'm like, most people eat peanut butter. That's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
My roommate is a friend of a family friend. And I met her. I met the family friend, I think, at my cousin's funeral. And then she was like, I have a close friend who's looking for an apartment, but she can't really find anyone that can kind of pay her price. And I was like, I mean, I can pay that much, you know. I wasn't really trying to. Ended up, she was up in the city already. And then she found us this really nice apartment and we just jumped on it. Like, I think we got approved in like 24 hours. But, you know, it turned out to be a really good situation. I would typically only go off with people who know people I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked out. Like, we got along really well. We allowed each other space in the sense of I'm very much a homebody and like being in my room. And it was never like a thing where I felt like I had to, like, I don't know, socialize all the time or anything of that sort. So we just, I don't know, we vibed pretty well in that sense. So it was a good situation for sure.
I'm glad y'all's big city roommates worked out because.
Well, Jordan, maybe you didn't have like a scarring experience early, because my freshman year, like in college, roommate was disgusting. Like, she used to walk out of drawers on the ground and like there would be like panty liners in them. She she was just disgusting. Like, would throw tampons in the trash, not wrapped. Yo, in our little 2-bed, little small dorm. I mean, it was disgusting. Like, my friends used to come over and be like, what in the heck? Like, you have my side and you have her side, and it was like, it wasn't even a matter of being messy. You know, these things are unsanitary. You don't walk out of your underwear on the floor and people gotta walk past, you know. So after that, I was like, oh, I will never do this in my life. Wait, so that's how,
Jordan, but I feel like your roommate got a taste of her medicine when that man asked her why she was living in that neighborhood.
Oh yes. I don't know if anybody who's listening is from DC, but I used to live in Trinidad, so it's very much so a very Black area, but it's getting extremely gentrified
all the time when I'm over there.
No, that was because everybody was
they doing that at Harlem too. Nobody knows what's going on.
But she was like riding a bike one time, and this man stopped her and was like, "You don't like what did he say?
You're not scared?
Like, you're not scared to be here or something, like, do you feel safe living around here?" And then she was like, and then she was, I guess, expecting him to be like, ha, 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 but like he was dead serious, like looking in her eyeball. And she was just like,
he was like,
did she come back and tell you that?
Yeah, she told me that. She was like, because I was like, so do you like the neighborhood? Me just being, but she was like, yeah, actually, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, you know, I say hi to the neighbors sometimes.
Did the prostitutes?
One time this man stopped me. Like, that's how the conversation came.
You know, her parents must not have moved her in, because I'm sure.
No, I feel like
they would have been like, Susie, we gotta go.
Susie,
what you say, Jordan?
I feel like her parents paid for it. Like, she was like older than me.
Oh, okay.
But very much so not responsible at all. Like,
yeah, I feel that. Yeah. Well, we'll probably have another part 2 of our ongoing journeys to finding new apartments. But yeah, you know, we all pay a lot of money for where we live. So finding your apartment is great. If you have any advice for listeners about how we can be better apartment finders, let us know. We're always trying to find a good deal, because people be taxing out here in these cities. For real. So catch us on the next segment for our listener letters. As we are approaching month infinity of staying in the house, we've really been enjoying using the Anchor app to record our podcasts. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And let me tell you why. Number 1, it's free. We don't got money for that. We are all recent grads out here. Times are rough. Also, there's free creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Apple, Spotify, many more platforms as well. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Get you some coins for Uber Eats. That's what I usually use my money to, but it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. To get started, download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get your podcast on and poppin'.
Okay, so today's listener letter. Again, I just want you guys to know, we do not plan these things to fit around our occasion. We're actually running out of listener letters, so I'm gonna need y'all to send some in, everybody who's listening. But I did find this one, it kind of related. So the listener says, hi, Kinda Adulting. Oh, my bad. This is from Riri. But Riri says, hi, Kinda Adulting. When is a good time to make a big move? With big decisions, I tend to wait until, all my ducks are in a row, but it seems like it's taking forever for it to be the right time. Should I take a leap of faith or continue to plan so I can move comfortably?
Girl, you better leave.
I'm very much so big leap of faith, because most of my big decisions and big moves have been happening because I was just like, I want to do this. I'm going to find a way to do this. It's crunch time. And all of a sudden, everything works out. So
yeah. And I think pre-corona, I was really a big proponent of, moving to a big city or a city where you don't know a lot of people, post-graduation. So, I came to DC. I was familiar with the area because, my grandparents live around the area and my cousins. But, I didn't have a support system coming in. I kind of made that as I got here. But I think your 20s are the time to move and kind of figure it out as you go along. no one is going to look at you sideways for like not having all your furniture in your first apartment. Like, trust me, like people who I know, like people don't even live in full bedrooms in these big cities. Like people really have apartments where it's like a chalkboard is a wall. So I say definitely go for it.
I think I don't know. I'm just a proponent in general of getting away from your current situation. Like, I feel like all throughout my elementary, middle school, high school, I never went to school with like the same people. Like, I went to school out of district or whatever. And then I went to college out of state. And like, I just feel like, especially in the 20s, but like anytime you get the opportunity to experience something unlike your norm, you should do that. And, I also just feel like if you wait to make these decisions, like you're never going to make them. Like, we're not saying, you know, you have $0 to your name, you just move across the country, especially in a time like this, you know, but you, if you're waiting until you have, you know, I don't know, so much money in the bank, that's a good idea. But like, are you legitimately going to get there within the time frame you want to move? Like, sometimes you just have to do it. So we're not saying move to where you don't have no food, you can't buy no food, and you can't, you know, do anything for yourself. But at the same time, like, if you're waiting until this like crazy long goal is met, you know, and it's 10 years later and you just never did it, you're going to regret that one day. Like, you got to get away and meet new friends, experience different people. If you don't, you really do. Like, I feel like a lot of us see it with like a lot of people we know, but like, you do get a little stagnant, you know, and sometimes you have regrets that you didn't take those opportunities. So do it. I mean, like, literally go if the opportunity's there.
Yeah. And then even about like the stuff with furniture, like all of my furniture that I have right now is because one of my friends was moving at the same time as me, and he was leaving to North Carolina, and he was like, I don't need any of this stuff. Like, you can have it for free as long as you can take it out of my apartment. And literally, when I tell you, like, God aligned this, because the apartment was 4 minutes away from the place that I moved to. So it was just like, that's no problem. That's no problem at all. So now I have like free furniture, and like the apartment that I'm in now, like, we don't have all of our furniture together. My TV is definitely on the floor, but so is Ari Lennox. So if celebrities are doing it, I'm doing it. You can do it too. So
yeah.
Sorry, go, Elise.
I was gonna say, like, and even the point of making sure you have all your ducks in a row. Like, I think the first big thing is to, like, make sure you can support yourself. Like, income is important, but you don't have to move into like your dream place like off bat moving to a new city. Like, for me, I was really like, they all know, like, I had really a vision for what I wanted, for where I wanted to move to in DC. Like, I was like, I'm gonna be downtown, I'm gonna live in this like really like nice apartment, like it's gonna be like I'm gonna have all these things. And I could have made it happen, like my complete dream apartment, but it would have been so much money, and it wouldn't even been that much of a difference in experience. And so I compromised with my location, but I still had a really fun time in DC. So what I'm saying is, like, you can move to a place, like compromise, like move to a new city, find a friend of a friend that maybe is renting out a room for a month or two so you can save some money, to kind of figure out, then take that money and find a place that you really, really like. But I say no one's going to have their stuff completely together in their 20s. Like, no one. It's a blessing to be able to move to different cities in your 20s to begin with. So if you have the inkling that you can, do it. Because I feel that's where like you really learn how to be an adult, is like living on your own and having that ability to make new friends. Like, you don't have expectations around you. Nobody knows you really. Like, they know you back in your home areas or the areas you went to school in.
Yeah, I think it's that mindset. Like, we all have these thoughts, right? Like, it's the same example of, you're like, well, I'm gonna wait until this happens and this happens and this happens until, you know, I don't know, have a child or something. I know that's really extreme, but the point is that if you're waiting for all these things to happen, like, are you ever gonna really get there? Like, sometimes it's just about getting out. And so just being in the city, whether, like Elise said, you're in your dream apartment or not, you're just there, and you're filled by the energy, like, and, you know, you're even more driven to do the things that you moved up there to do. Like, that's the difference sometimes. So obviously we are pro get your butt out of there and go to wherever you're supposed to be going, girl. So I wish you luck.
And also,
sorry.
you're fine. Also, I think it's easier for us to say this because we all went to college out of state or like away from our homes. But like for the people that like live with their parents, which is still a good option, right. I could not do that. Nope. But I just really had to prove to myself that I can, like, you know, be out on my own. And then, like, the thing is, like, I mean, like, parents aren't always going to be there, you know, but, like, they're there to help you if you have, like, a good relationship with them. So, like, I know, like, if things don't work out for me, I can at least say, like, I tried.
Right.
And I can just move back home if I need to. But if the parents are just like, oh, no, stay here, like, it might sound nice. But once you live on your own, I promise to you, you're going to figure out a way. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, shoot, if you living at home and you're unhappy and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, like, even though it might be nice that you can save, are you like doing everything you want to do? Like, I think that's how you have to look at it. So obviously, girl, we are pro get your butt out, and we wish you luck, and hopefully you make that decision, you know, based off of your own judgment, but we support it. Is there any advice for the week?
Here's some tangible advice for listeners. Like, some of you guys may be saving a lot of money from COVID if you don't have your typical like living expenses, like not having to commute, not going to happy hour every week. And so if you are blessed to be saving money right now, please put your money in a high yield savings account. Stop putting your money and your savings into like your bank to your Wells Fargo, SunTrust. Like, get you an American Express or Goldman Sachs account and grow that money. That's my adulting advice for the week.
Even though Amex been putting my little interest rate
low
down every other month, but
well, yes, y'all know we are in an economic crisis. You know, they can't help all of that, but no, I feel it because my Marcus account was like at 2 point something when I opened it, and now it's at like 1 point something. But we gonna bounce back. My 401k taking a hit, but like she said, it's important to grow your money, not just have it sit stagnant. So.
I don't have any advice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really either.
I'm not gonna try to make something.
Me neither.
Right now,
so. Okay, well, thanks for joining us, guys. I think this was a more informational episode, but hopefully you guys got something out of it, and hopefully you guys decide to make that big move. It is a really exciting time, and I feel like we can all say we've learned so much over the last year and probably really enjoyed it, you know, besides COVID and the things that occurred from that. But we encourage people to get out and grow, and a lot of times you do that by getting away. So everybody make that move, make your plan, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap. Thanks so much for your continued support. Follow us on our social media at Kinda Adulting Pod, and you can anonymously send in your listener letters at tinyurl.com/KA letters. See you next Monday at 12.